I'd now like to welcome on stage Shri Priyank Kharge, Honorable Minister for Information Technology, Biotechnology and Tourism, to please present the inaugural address. Please.
It was off to a cracking start, I guess. So, let it go. Namaskara. It's my pleasure and privilege to be here at the inaugural of the Global Mobile App Summit and Awards. It's always exciting to be here among some of the brightest people who are disrupting the future with emerging technologies. And more importantly, mingling with people like you, it makes me look smart as well. So I think that is the reason why I'm here. If Ventesh was wondering why I slipped by last time and I'm attending now. So it makes me look also smart when we have some of the brightest talents here sitting. So, and also I'd like to thank the Global Mobile App Summit and Awards for having such important events here in Bangalore, because it sort of validates my claim that I make throughout the world that Karnataka is the place to be for emerging technologies, and our state is fast emerging as the destination for the future of not just IT, BT or GIS, but also for app technologies. Well, I'm not sure if everybody remembers back in 1990s, whenever new businesses came, whenever you opened a store or whenever you started any new business, the first thing that was required was a brick and mortar address, and the next was a website address. And now, probably you don't really require a brick and mortar address, but definitely a website. But now in 2010s or 2020s, maybe you won't even require a website and it's just going to be apps all the way. Maybe that's one of the fact that because it is sort of breaking away from a cluttered website or from a cluttered navigation to an easy to use app, and of course the mobile penetration and the internet penetration also has helped. And I'm sure that we as an ecosystem will be the global leader soon in mobile apps. We are going to make it the epicenter of business models of economic activity for businesses. And the app economy is increasing multifold in India, and Karnataka, I'm very proud to say, is leading the pack. And mobile apps have created new fortunes for entrepreneurs and have disrupted the way business is done. The global app usership is set to double to 6.3 billion people in the next 5 years, while the time spent in apps will more than double. And it's expected the average app spend to increase from $379 per person to $1,008 per person in 2021. And in 5 years, the app economy, the global economy, will be worth phenomenally at $6.3 trillion. That is up from $1.3 trillion of last year. So in the next 5 years, it's going to multifold, like close to around 4 times as much. And whereas in our context, in the Indian context, we have the fourth largest app economy in the world, and the app downloads, we make cross 20 billion apps by 2020. The Indian mobile app market grew very sharply last year, outpacing the US and ranked #1 in terms of Google Play downloads, highlights the vibrancy of the country's ecosystem. Indians downloaded over 6 billion apps in 2016. That means last year in 2015 it was 3.5. So you see almost the jump is double. So overall, while the global app economy grew at 15%, India's app economy grew at 71%. So that is why I always insist and I always say that the Indians are disrupting the world both creatively as well as technologically. And based on the revenue stream, I'm sure that most of you, how many of you over here use Netflix? That's quite a lot. So revenue-wise, they are #1 in India. So how many of you use Tinder? Everybody is lying. Well, to those of you who have not used, because I think your laughter gave it away that a lot of people use that. And it's the second highest revenue generator. It's an online dating app for those of you who are telling the truth. And of course, the professional networking side, LinkedIn is the one that is #3. So why am I saying all these things? Is saying that it's just not the private sector that is being disruptive, but also the government too is adopting these apps pretty quickly. And if you have seen our Karnataka Mobile One app, you have governance at your fingertips. And you will not believe it, I'm not sure how many of you have downloaded the Karnataka Mobile One app, but we have more than 4,000 citizen services, both government as well as private citizen services on our app. And probably we have received, I don't know, maybe some dozens of awards just for doing this from the government of India. And we can pay BESCOM bills, your electricity bills, your water bills, your traffic fines can be paid on through this app. We can access crime records. We can have bus and metro information on this, birth and death certificates as well. And so probably anything to do with governance and citizen delivery mechanisms will be available on this app. And we are also building, because I happen to also be the tourism minister, we're also trying to see how we can build an app for a comprehensive app of more than 317 destinations that are listed as tourist destinations in Karnataka. And probably if you have seen our KSTDC app, you can already book holidays. And for the first time in India, we have started something called the Bangalore Detours through this app, wherein we have tied up with Ola, and if you can go to 2 destinations. As of now, we are trialing 2 destinations. One is Bannerghatta and Nandi Hills, where we come and pick you up from your house, take you to a completely guided, uncurated tour to either Bannerghatta or Nandi Hills and drop you back home. Probably no department, no tourism department in the world is doing this kind of thing, wherein we come and pick you up and drop you back and give you a complete guided tour of the destinations. And we too have been thinking out of the box to ensure that we stay ahead of the pack and remain a pioneer in providing a great ecosystem for emerging technologies. And one way to do that is by stimulating the startup ecosystem. We ourselves run close to around 700 incubation seats with NASSCOM, and we have forged ties with like the industry associations, with Internet and Mobile Association of India for the Mobile 10X facility as well. So we ourselves incubate throughout Karnataka. So no state in India has incubation facilities for over 700 seats at one place. And to further encourage and further stimulate the startup environment, we have our own startup policy, which is India's first multi-sector policy, and we encourage everything from agriculture to aerospace under this policy. And I'm not sure if many of you read the news yesterday. Karnataka government is announced Elevate 100. Probably this is the only program in the world by the government which aims to foster and groom 100 startups across verticals in Karnataka. So we will be, and how do we plan to do this? We are planning road trips across the state. So we'll be having one road show in Hubli, we'll be having one in Belgaum, we'll be having one in Kalburgi, Mysore, Mangaluru, and of course Bangalore, which is the hotbed of activity over here. So the idea is to go across Karnataka, invite startups, and not just give them some gyan. We are not trying to preach them there. We are trying to ask them to pitch their ideas across to the government of Karnataka so that we can provide them with whatever they need. So the idea of Elevate 100 is to ensure that startups succeed. So how will they succeed? Not everybody requires funding. Of course, funding is the most important thing, and that is what most of them crave for. But a lot of startups come to me asking for mentorship. So you have some of the world-class mentors in the Elevate program who will adopt you. We have idea validation. So if you, the problem with most of the startups or most of the entrepreneurs I have met is that they think that they have the most disruptive idea for the vertical. But only when you put it in a practical environment that you figure out whether that idea is worth selling or not. And that idea validation is something that the government can help you with as well. So if there is any ideas that can be piloted within the government ecosystem, irrespective of the department, we will also try to have that idea validation done for you. Besides that, we have legal help. I know that a lot of startups are not very, because you're so much into your own ideas, you're so much into the technology aspect of it, you're so much into the business aspect of it, that you lose sight of the legal framework of the startups. So how to register, what to do, whether you need IPs for it, whether you need trademarks protection for it, if you're successful, how to grow your business, and if you're not successful, how to shut down a business properly and legally. All those things we'll be helping you with. And of course, access to high net worth individuals, and most importantly, access to the 400 crore budget of the government of Karnataka for startups. So we like I said, we have the multi-sector policy, startup policy. When I say 400 crores, it is divided into tranches. So idea to POC, if you have a idea, we can grant you up to 50 lakhs. It's a grant that we give. Of course, it's not that every idea is funded. It has to go through a procedure and through certain committees. And we have the Karnataka IT Venture 3, wherein we have a nice kitty of close to around 100 crores in that. We have the Biotech Venture Fund. We are the only state in India who has a 20 crore fund for animation, visual effects, gaming and comics. So in AVAGC policy, we have a 20 crore fund for that. And also we are the only government that encourages ideation. And we have a 2.5 crore grant to create original IP content in animation and gaming and applications. So we trying to cover the entire ecosystem through a startup cell. We were the first ones in India to come up with a startup cell with relationship managers who do the hand-holding for you to ensure that a lot of people think government is not approachable. So we have these relationship managers who will hold your hands to ensure that you get through the maze of the government. And the reason why we are trying to do all these things is because in Bangalore alone, I have 7,000 startups, and out of these 7,000, more than these 7,000 startups, 3,000 startups have registered with the government of Karnataka. So it's such a humongous task to ensure all of you succeed, and we are trying to do our best. So probably you can access the Elevate 100 to know more about all these things. So I'll not take much of your time. I'd like to conclude by saying that GMASA has been a great event, and of course Mr. Venkatesh and Mr. Suhas have always been there for a long time to ensure that these kind of events happen here, these kind of disruptive, creative events happen here. Like I said, it validates the ecosystem for Karnataka in India and also abroad. And the government is very firm about, and it believes that it is not about ideas, but it's about making ideas happen. And we are here to help you in whatever little way we can. So reach out to us to help you succeed, because only if you are successful, we succeed. So go ahead, ideate, innovate and invent, and more importantly, stay inspired to disrupt and create. We are here to help you in any possible way, and you can reach out to us through the startup cell or through the Government of Karnataka website, and we'll be more than happy to help you in whatever little way, because like I said earlier, only if you succeed, the government succeeds. Thank you so much for having me over. I declare it open.
I think we can take a couple of questions from the audience. Sure. Any questions from the audience, ladies and gentlemen?
So nobody wants 400 crores.
Yes, can we have a mic there, please, in the front row?
Wonderful session. I just want to ask you, how is the demand for local content in local language and services required in the rural areas picking up, and you can see startups coming and talking to you on that?
I know local content, the demand is huge. In fact, the government itself grapples with it a lot of time, because there are not enough people who do local content. For example, when you want to do analytics on our governance, it's very easy to do it for English because all the tools are built for it. But most of our people from tier 2 towns or from rural areas are active users on Facebook, Twitter and other social mediums, or even in the vernacular press. And it becomes very difficult for us to analyze or get any analytics from these, because there are not enough startups doing regional content. But I see a huge potential, and you'll be quite surprised to know that rural areas, the mobile penetration, as you know, is very high. And now with the smartphones becoming more and more affordable and the data plans becoming cheaper, with people like Jio and coming and disrupting and making everything free, now even the rural folks have become armchair thinkers. So we get a lot of things online saying that is not good, this is not good, and most of it, all our services are also online. So subsidies, incentives, services, government services are all online. So they would prefer it in regional content, although it is there. But first we release English version, then comes a regional content version. But it should be the other way around.
Other way around, I agree with you.
Yes, but there is a lot of demand.
Great.
Thank you. One more question. Yes, can we have a mic in the center of the room, please?
Good morning, sir. My one simple question was, do rural startups have more preferences to nowadays to over urban startups? Because if I want to have a startup in Davangere, and but preference is given to startups in Bangalore more compared to startups. So what is the step that could be taken for that?
Says who?
So we've gone to a few of the summits, for
I just told you in our Elevate 100, for the first time, I agree that the startups in Bengaluru get more preference because they have the access. But as a custodian of the ecosystem, it's also my duty to go everywhere else. So that's the reason that we are going to have it in Hubli, we are going to have it in Belgaum, we are going to have it in Kalburgi, we are going to have it in Mysore, we are going to have it in Bangalore. So you will have to look at your closest place, because it's very difficult to come to each taluka or each district. But Davangere, I think Bangalore would be a closest point for you. But there is nothing that if you are Bangalore-based startup, you get a preference. We go by the idea, not from which part of this thing comes. So if you have an idea that will cater to the majority of the population, we'll be going ahead with that rather than the address of your startup.
Thank you, sir. Ashutosh from Passion.
Thank you so much. Do you have time for one more question?
I have
sir?
time if everybody wants to ask as well.
One more question then?
There's one. Okay.
Yeah.
I think I deterred everybody when I asked who all are on Tinder.
Tinder.
No, don't worry. Government is not snooping on that.
Hello, sir. I have a question rather than concern. You said that we have the Bangalore Karnataka government mobile application through which various kind of payments on the BASCOM, BWSSB as well, multiple traffic fine, etc. can be done. May I know the reason why we are not doing enough marketing for it? What I feel is right now the payment for all these options is very much happening through the fragmented platforms. Everybody tries to go with the platform either through Paytm or carrier providers, wherever it's a discount of 5%, 10% and all. Why don't we try to have the affiliation with just one platform, which has to happen through government platform?
No, see, one is you've spoken two things. One is about the platform and the one is about publicity. See, we publicize enough, but I think that is the reason why we have so many downloads, and we have some of the highest downloads for our Bangalore traffic app. And these are all need-based apps, right? So it's more of a utility rather than, it's not like a gaming app which keeps you engaged. You use this to know your tariff, you use this to know what's your bill and how much you have to pay. So it's not like an engagement app, it's more to do with the utility app. But we have done enough propaganda for this, publicity for this. So if you see the Bangalore One centers have been shifted to the Karnataka One mobile app, so that you don't have to go to the Bangalore One centers or the Karnataka One centers. So point taken, probably we will publicize this more. That having been said, the payment gateways or the platforms that you're taking, we are agnostic. So even you want to have it through UPI, you want to put it on free charge, you want to use Paytm, we can do that as well. So the idea is, because we have to be customer friendly, right? So if you're not comfortable with free charge, but you're comfortable only with Paytm, we should allow you to do that as long as you're okay with it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much. I'm afraid that's all we have time for. Thank you so much.
He had one, I'll take one last one.
Okay, could we have a mic in the front row, please?
Sumit from Techinasia. Could you give us 2 or 3 examples of successful startups that have emerged with the help of the Karnataka startup?
2, 3, I can give you 61.
Maybe the 3 best ones.
So in the last 6 to 8 months, I think, we have funded close to around 61 companies to the tune of 75 to 80 crores. I'm not sure of the exact figure, but 61 companies have benefited from my programs. And more importantly, what I'd like to point out, Sumit, is besides the funding, there are startups that have come to us whose ideas we have validated. For example, there is this health startup who wanted to understand how the ecosystem in the rural areas work. So what they wanted to do was they wanted to use the rural ecosystem, the health sector, because in the primary health care center we don't have specialists, but they get cardiac arrest cases and similar specialist cases. So they linked the PHC to the DHC, the CHC, that's the community health center, and the CHC to the DHC in the district health center. So if the specialist is not available at the CHC, they would link it up to the DHC. So they were able to connect reports, they were able to connect the patient directly to a specialist at the shortest possible time through a sort of mobile telemedicine or something. So they wanted that validated. They never tested it. So I sent them to one of the most backward regions in Karnataka to actually validate whether they can use this with only the GPRS available there. So they did that, and it was validated. When we took feedback from the government doctors, they said, "Sir, it works fine, and I think there is some system that is required that we can do because it's affordable. It happens only on your mobile. All you need is a smart tab or a smart mobile," and we funded them so that they could build upon that technology. And there is another case where we actually helped a startup acquire a customer. So they had a product which acted as a speed, not only as a speed governor, but also would tell how erratic the driver is driving. So whether his fuel efficiency is good, whether he's taking the optimum route, and whether he's braking at the right time, and all those things. So he did not require fund. He just required an introduction to one of the leading cab aggregators, and we did just that. And he's working with them. Right? 3 months back, he had sold only 5 or 10, and now he's already installed in more than 5,000 cars of the cab aggregator. So it's not always money, but there are success stories with idea validation and with customer acquisition as well.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Sri Kharge. And
Thank you,
I
all of you.
request Venkatesh to please present Sri Kharge a memento, thanking him for his time and insights today. Thank you, Sri Kharge, and thank you, Venkatesh. That was a cheerful, optimistic, and encouraging start to the day. And if you've been taking pictures, taking notes, or sharing online, the hashtag you have to use is GMASA. The 5th edition of GMASA has just begun.